Hello and welcome back. My name is Charlambos. I go by Bob. I am not your typical painter. Today is going to be part 2, pretty much a follow-up to my previous video about texture. I filmed a lot for it and I wasn't able to cram everything in one video. So yeah, this is part 2. The thing I'm going to be discussing is the steps I took in preparation to paint the mountains, which is this side of the painting. I started off with a base color that is very similar to the rest of the mountain and made variations from there. The colors I'm going to be using for the most part are going to be neutral colors, but I'm going to create that neutral color with mostly white, zinc white, and this is actually a blend of Viridian and alizarin crimson, mostly Viridian and very little alizarin crimson. And as for the rest of the colors, I have these as supporting characters in my color scheme. So I got my cadmium red, my cadmium orange, my cadmium yellow, and then I got my blues, cobalt blue, cerulean blue, and then I got my Viridian green and permanent green light. This is very simple color scheme, but I don't use many colors. I use very limited colors. I have some neutral colors, but I rarely tap into them. Just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to start by mixing gray, and again with this gray, it's mostly going to be to have a base color for the rest of the scheme. So I'm going to make just some more black, or should I say my darker version of black. So that was alizarin crimson and pretty much Viridian green that got me that nice dark. Again, I mentioned this before in my previous videos, I do not use black. And now, to finish it off, I'm going to mix zinc white. And honestly, this is kind of a dark gray. And not quite the gray I'm looking for. But I'm going to still go with it. And just save a small variation of it to the side. Now I'm going to try to make a lighter variation. I'm going to go in very lightly first. It's easier to go darker. The idea is to have a nice variation of colors at your disposal. The idea is so you don't have to actually mix paint while you're painting. You have like kind of like ready. Especially if you're going to do a larger area. As for the color itself, I kind of like it, but I'm still going to make one more variation of it. So I'm going to like keep it to the side. As for this final variation, I'm just going to still use some light leftover color from here just to go even lighter. So 3 stages. And this might look like the light color I needed. Again, while I'm painting, I'm probably going to make variations of this. I'm going to probably need to add colors to make it slightly different. Either it's going to be a little blue, a little yellow, a little red, depending on the scenario, because I need variations in the end. One last thing to mention before I start is I have my secret weapon right here. This is actually titanium white. I'm going to use this for highlights. And when I use it, I'm very careful because of how bright it is. It has a very good qualities in really highlighting an area and also covering too. So if you make mistakes, it's a good color to use to like mask mistakes. And then also I have my supporting cast. And in order to distinguish the mountains from the rest of the background, I did spend a lot of time detailing pretty much little nooks and crannies. I used a lot of like effects. I don't know if they're effects is what you want to call them, but I use like deep blues in certain areas to highlight the coolness of the and then like where certain like edges meet, light and dark. I used a combination of like a repetition of pattern pretty much to get certain textures, because you can't sometimes just paint every nook and cranny. And I thought of like a lot of the crevices as a road map. All the roads interconnect in the end. That kind of helped me not getting lost while I was painting this mountain. I want to spend a little time talking about my technique in carving these mountains. I want to say carving because even though I'm not really carving the sculpture, I'm actually carving with paint. And you want it to visually feel like when you touch the mountain, it has that feel of rock. And you have to use a combination of like color pretty much while doing this. Like try to hit light and dark spots to get the texture. You have to understand light creates form in our world, and with darkness there's nothing, but with light you got shadows. So when you know there's a source of light, there's also a source of shadow, so you kind of have to like be mindful of that when painting, just to get that illusion of texture. So there's gonna be these like little dark like crevices, and there's gonna be like light highlights as well. This is more visible if there's like a very bright source of color where it's more direct sunlight. In this, again, I took this photo during the winter, and I didn't have very vibrant colors, but that doesn't bother me for this painting. Sometimes you don't want to have a colorful painting. Sometimes you want a muted painting. In the end, not every painting has to be super bright. Sometimes very pale, very muted, very neutral paintings have their own place in the world of art. Yeah, one thing, I don't know if it's a flaw of mine, but when I paint, like I sometimes go into the same section again and again until I feel like the pattern is right now. As I'm trying to get like the striations of this mountain, I'm constantly correcting what I did. It's kind of like a pattern that I'm trying to build that makes sense, that represents the texture of this section. Sometimes it's a very defined mark like this, and sometimes it's just like a cluster of like little crevices that are visible, and I'm trying to, instead of like, you can't sometimes like capture everything. Sometimes you have to try to like represent what's there, and sometimes it's going to be like a buildup of like little marks, and again, when I do it, sometimes I feel like I'm going at the same spot again and again until I feel it's right. And then sometimes it's to the point where I just move on and wait till the paint dries. I feel like soon I'm gonna like take a break also from this painting, because it is stressful working on it. I'm probably gonna work a little more on this bushy area where there's some trees and grass, and work on this area here where there's some homes and more buildings and roads and also some cars visible. Then after that, I'm going to start a new painting, a smaller one though, because I don't want to do nothing, but I want to kind of relax myself, and sometimes I find doing smaller paintings more relaxing, especially the ones that aren't as emphasis. especially the ones that don't emphasize too much detail and they're more loose, I guess. Anyway, if you made it to the end, thank you for watching. Again, my name is Charlambos. I go by Bob. I'm not your typical painter. Stay tuned for more.